Our next question is that it's been in the news that experts are anticipating a second wave to peak around January. Are we anticipating another lockdown? What can schools be doing to prepare for this?
So shall I start, since I mentioned it? So there's two risks here. We have the potential for a second spike before autumn, which I think is, we're going to see in more localized areas, and that will happen just as it's happened in Leicester. We're going to see it elsewhere. Autumn brings its own seasonal viruses, and including coronaviruses, common cold type viruses, and that's the challenge here and the distinction. So over the last few months, we sort of know, particularly in the early days, there was a lot of seasonal virus still back in March, but basically if you had symptoms, it was COVID. So autumn brings its own challenges. The virus, has the potential to increase because of the way we live, but also we will be interacting with other viruses. So we've got a potential of a COVID peak, maybe January, February. Bear in mind that, this will be wrong, and everything about the modelling will be wrong. So don't read too much into it, but it's good to plan for that worst case scenario. But then the other issue here is to have other viral epidemics going on, so influenza epidemic in particular, which is the one that we dread in the NHS year on year. So it's been a couple of years since we've had one. But if we had that combination of COVID plus influenza, then we would be in big trouble. So we've got a plan in the health service, the potential for, we are very, very slow at introducing procedures, our elective work back to normal, our clinic work. And we've got this backlog building up, and then we've got a potential of dealing with this single whammy or double whammy in the autumn and winter.
Mark, can I just add something to what John was saying there as well?
Please do, Duncan.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of planning for a potential second spike, there's the risk of that, and at schools, because schools have never shut, and this is what I keep saying to people. There's the children of key workers, and there's other children with vulnerabilities that have still remained at school throughout. So we might go back to that situation again. One of the things that I'm worried about is that the inequalities in educational outcomes growing because of coronavirus. So I think anything that you're already doing around engaging digitally with children and families and keeping children on board with educational learning, I think it's about sort of working further on that. What we've seen is that a lot of families are digitally excluded from some of this learning, and if they have difficult home circumstances as well, children can end up doing virtually nothing. So I think it's about prioritising the children within your school as well, and perhaps having an idea about that going into winter, about some of those additional measures and what you might have learned from the first term of lockdown as well, so we can try and get good educational outcomes and longer term outcomes as well, and social development for all children in Bradford.
Can I just add one other thing? The other issue here is breathing space. Science and research is rapidly catching up with this virus. Our treatments are becoming more effective. If you look at our mortality rates for inpatients in hospital, they've dropped quite dramatically over the last 3 or 4 months, like sort of fivefold. It is quite remarkable. Partly that's case mix. We're seeing less severe cases being admitted as the pandemic goes on, but also we're getting better at treating people with ventilation, the way we manage people in hospital and the drugs that we're doing. So we are getting better at looking after people, the treatment's getting better, and we will be testing vaccines. And that's one of the big steps that we will be doing. Bradford is one of the national centres for new trials, and from September we'll be testing vaccines in the city. So that's also really important to encourage everybody to participate in that. There's still a lot of false news around. And there'll be lots of false news around the vaccines, and we've really got to work with communities to try and reassure that this is not a Bill Gates conspiracy to microchip everybody.